sutra will ask us repeatedly in a lot of different ways to establish a connection internally as we encounter knowledge or information in our external world. And so let's do that. Now let the breath make that connection to the center of the chest. And as you exhale, do it slow enough that you retain the sensation at the heart, even as you breathe out. Can swallow, clear that path, and then again try and make that connection right to the center of the chest. And as you exhale, feel the space both in and around you. And from there we can encounter the Sanskrit of the sutra. I'll read it in Sanskrit, or the phrase, the sutra itself. You can repeat it just to let the vibration work. Kalādīnāṁ, tattvānāmaviveko. So putting that together. tattvānāmaviveko, and then māyā. Kalādīnāṁ, tattvānāmaviveko, māyā. One more time. Kalādīnāṁ, tattvānāmaviveko, māyā. Being unable to possess the undifferentiated knowledge of the 31 elements, you live in those elements. From kalā to pṛithvī, which is earth, which are the expansion of the energy of illusion. Some keywords that you see right away that we see in this text and others. We see kalā there, which should be the top of the tattvik egg. We see the tattvas in the middle, and then we see māyā, illusion. So again, being unable to possess undifferentiated knowledge. So if you were to ask yourself what that meant, in a way it's a double negative, and that gets used a ton in the sutra. Unable to possess undifferentiated knowledge. So you could swap that by saying, when you are in possession of differentiated knowledge of difference, when you feel difference of the 31 elements, of the tattvas, everything below the pure tattvas, everything that is manifest reality, when you feel difference in those 31 elements, that's where you live, in those elements. From the top to the bottom, kalā to pṛithvī, those elements are the expansion of the energy of illusion, which is, as we know, the tattva of māyā, the quality of māyā. So let's start by reading and then interpreting, just like we usually do. And Arya, you were here really early. That was awesome. And would you like to start us? And I highlighted the portion in green as our first chunk to discuss.
Okay, so I'll read all the green stuff then.
Okay.
In the scriptures, it is established that knowledge is enlightening, and Atma is also enlightening. It is said that Atma and knowledge are in reality one. This is explained in this way in the Sri Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. Knowledge is filled with enlightenment, and the knower is also filled with enlightenment. Therefore, you can be enlightened completely by either knowledge or the knower. This is because in knowledge you will find the residence of the knower, and in the knower you will find the residence of knowledge. These are not two different aspects of being. They are one aspect of being. Knowledge and the knower, Atma, are in the real sense one. Vijnana Bhairava 137.
So because we're all different learning styles, take a moment to read through that yourself, and we'll start to pull apart aspects of it. So right away we see two concepts that will permeate the whole sutra. This idea of knowledge and Atma, or the knower, so the knowledge and the knower. And both are said to be able to take you all the way to the top. But why? Why are they both able to do that? And it says in the text, but does anyone else want to give their, interpret, what is it in the text that's telling you, knowledge and the knower are both enlightening, but why in this case? Yeah, right away you see in that sentence, this is because it says, in knowledge you will find the residence of the knower, and in the knower you will find the residence of knowledge. So take a moment with that sentence. Does that open any doors for anyone, or does that strike a chord with anyone? Anju?
I think it comes back to that same aspect of being differentiated. So if you believe the knower and knowledge is separate, you won't be able to see that or get that full experience, because they're one, they're undifferentiated. So once that differentiation falls away, you're enlightened, I guess.
And specifically the difference specifically between what and what, knowledge and the knower. Well, how do you, when you're learning something, do you feel a difference between what you're learning and you, the person that's learning it? How would you describe that experience? What does that mean to any of you? Or Anju?
I think from a meditation standpoint, I can kind of see it from when I'm introduced to something I haven't practiced yet or done, it feels really different. And I have to sort of get this foundation. And then working with something for a long time, it becomes a completely different experience, because it's that idea of it arising in you, because you're not coming at it from this mindset or trying to learn. It's there. And it's just kind of an extension of who you are rather than learning at that point. So it's as you sort of practice these things, they do kind of blur. And for me, that's the closest I can get to sort of an experience of that.
And really quick, what is the is there anything specific you're describing right now? Things that you've learned specifically? You said it seemed like you were referring to. Is it practice related or worldly or?
I mean, for me, it's more practice related, I guess. I haven't figured it out in the, like, leaving, the practicing in the world is still an effort, I think. But, like, coming, I can come into my meditation space and sit on my cushion, and it's like myself changes just from the act of practicing. It's like things sort of shift, and there is this more just kind of, I don't know, like this. It's not me doing it, but I'm still doing it. If that makes sense. But not really helping, making it more complicated.
No, that's good. That's good. We're exploring. I really feel like, for me, and I'm just one voice here, it's the stretch that's the most important with all this stuff, right? It's not about the end, the look of the posture in yoga, but rather like the approach, the experience, the stretch. So that's great. I mean, when I heard you say knowledge emerges, that really felt really clear to me. And also you said like the knower changes, like you said you change from practicing, so it's almost like knowledge, like the thing that you were working on out here was actually having an effect on something that was inside of you. And so that gives us that inkling also of this intrinsic relationship. They're not separate. I don't just learn something out here and then stay totally different in here. When I really learn something out here, I change, and I grow. Now, exactly how to describe that, that's, can get very semantic, but that was really helpful. Did you want to add? No. Does anyone else want to add anything or any comments or questions before we just keep unpacking?
This is Bob. I just wanted to say Anju's description was spot on for me. I could really relate to the way she's. The knowledge, once it becomes part of you, you and the knowledge are pretty much merged, and the you that started out practicing or started out learning is no longer there.
You and the knowledge merge. Well, this is all. I think what we're describing is the kind of knowledge that is freeing. I mean, just for this, that's a really simple word. Which oddly is not the kind of knowledge that this sutra is about, because this sutra is about binding knowledge. But in order to know what binding knowledge is, I mean, that's exactly what they're telling us at first, is like, hey, this kind of knowledge frees you. And then the rest of the sutra goes on to say, but this kind of knowledge binds you. So I think we're all feeling a little bit pretty clear on like a sense of like the kind of knowledge or the kind of relationship to learning that actually makes you freer. And so I think this is a great starting point, because when we go into the next paragraph in blue, he starts Lakshmanju / Shaimaraja, because this is Lakshmanju's translation of Shaimaraja's commentary, starts to talk about the other half, introduces it. Hey Anandama, you're here really early too, so I'd like to just say, would you like to read this blue section? I'll turn the page when you get to the end, okay? Oh, sorry, I'm not hearing you. It could be, my speaker just died, so that's on my end, my bad. So I apologize for interrupting. Let me just switch my speaker, my bad. Okay, please go on.
So it is said, there you will find that knowledge is also filled with enlightenment. Knowledge, therefore, can only enlighten you, not deprive you of enlightenment. So the question must be answered. How is it that in this sutra, you have explained that all knowledge is bondage? The author answers by stating that he accepts as correct the theory that knowledge and the knower are one with one condition. It is only correct when, by the grace of the Lord, you know this whole universe is filled with knowledge and knower, that knowledge and knower are one, that this and I are one being. If you know it, then it is not bondage. If you don't know it, then it is bondage.
So just to give everyone a chance to, because again, learning styles, you got to respect learning styles. I don't know if I can't get the whole thing on one page just for the limitations of text. So take a moment here with this first paragraph. Knowledge can only enlighten you. So the question is, and then we have our, why does it bind you? So I mean, it's not going to be a big leap from where we just were, but is there any interpretations of the sutra, anything that stands out to you that you'd like to? Yeah, please, Gita, go ahead. Thanks.
There's a phrase in the Guru Gita. It's line 10. Worldly illusion born of ignorance conceals the knowledge in an individual, whereas the light of knowledge arises in the one who is called by the word Guru. And it seems like...
Which verse is that?
Pardon?
Which verse is that you were just reading from?
10.
Okay, cool. Let's see if I can... Alright, and just because sounds awesome that you found like a reference like that. So let's take a look at verse 10. Here we go, everyone. And I'll get rid of this table of contents. Cool. So thanks, Gita. So worldly illusion born of ignorance conceals knowledge in an individual. And then any comments on that you wanted to? Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted
The word now in the previous version of the sutra, they were using the word enlightenment, which to me is another word for consciousness, and therefore it's the consciousness is in the knowing as well as in the individual. And so if those two, it's that merging, I mean, either way, one will illuminate the other. It's the consciousness that does the enlightening.
So the knowledge can illuminate. I think that's the norm. That's a way that we might be I don't even know if I could say this, but used to thinking about it. Whereas knowledge is enlightening us. So because
the consciousness of the light of knowledge, the consciousness. There's a consciousness in that knowledge. There is light or consciousness in that, and it's perceiving that light.
Wow.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, definitely.
It makes sense to me.
She asked me to zoom in on myself. I didn't just zoom in to be bigger. Just by the way.
He talks more, so.
But definitely makes sense. I think that's to say it makes sense, or even to ask ourselves to make sense of that is challenging because it's non-dualistic, right? To say that the thing on the outside of us is going to bring us to the inside is, it's like, no, the outside takes you outside, inside takes you inside. And we're saying this sutra's starting by talking about there's a way to approach the outside that can take you inside.
That is it.
And at the end of this sutra, there's a quote that specifically, I'll just scooch just to look at it. It says, these organs, it's talking about the organs of sense and even the mind, perform in two ways, depending on whether you're fully aware or not. It says they can basically pull you down into the ignorance, or they can pull you up into consciousness.
Wow.
So it seems pretty similar. And Abhay wanted to add to this. Just one sec, let me Good.
Here I am. I just wanted to respond, Gita, because that was so powerful, and what I was hearing was sort of like, if we have knowledge without consciousness, it binds us, it limits us. It's our consciousness that frees us. And an example, it's sort of like if you know something, and you want like credit for it, you're like, oh, I have a good idea, right? It's like you're bound by the knowledge. But if you're like actually aware that your knowing is like this supreme divine consciousness flowing through you, like you can't take any credit for that, right? So it's almost like when you're aware of the consciousness, it dissolves your ego, because it's not about like you knowing or you having the answer or you and any doership, but rather like this like freedom and this emptiness, and then like the consciousness being able to flow through your like vessel. So that was really that inspired me a lot. Thanks, Gita.
And sorry, any other comments or reactions for that aspect? I think I got us back to where we were. Yeah, okay.
Are we in a hurry? Or?
No, but no, we're not in a hurry. That'd be hilarious.
There's no hurrying in philosophy. I feel like you guys probably have a personal example of like something you're really good at, like something that you know so well that it's not like a knowing in your head anymore, but just like a flowing through your being. Like maybe it's playing music or cooking or creating art. And I don't know, I feel like when I like paint, and yeah, I've worked and I did it, but when I've really opened up, I don't even feel like it's like, this is my painting. I'm just like, wow, look at this, like this creation. So I just thought it could be kind of fun for you to take a moment to reflect if there's something like that where the ego sort of dissolves because you're letting the flow of consciousness come through you. So you can take a moment to reflect, and if anybody has an example, I'd love to hear. Bob, I thought you might have an example.
I've mentioned this probably to you and Sajam, but as a musician, I really don't care what song I'm playing. I don't care really about the words of the song. I don't care about the melody of the song. What the most enjoyable aspect of music is the flow that comes through, and if you're playing with somebody that is not thinking about, oh, I might hit a wrong chord, or I might make a mistake, or what if I blah blah blah. If you're playing with another musician who is past that stage, then there's just two people flowing with each other. And I remember a quote Rudy once, I heard that Rudy had said that one of his favorite things is seeing two people working together. And the one will already be handing the other the tool that he needs even before the other guy knows that he needs it, because they're in such flow with each other. And this is consciousness at work.
Thanks, Bob. I love that little Rudy story, and I'm privileged enough to have seen you play music, and you know, though you are one of the most talented musicians I've ever met, it doesn't even feel like you're there playing the music. Like, it's never like hey, did you guys hear what I did on the steel guitar? Like, that was awesome. Even though it is always awesome. You know, it's just, it is, you're just in the flow, and it's almost like it's not even yours anymore. At least that's what it feels like as a participant.
All right. Well, let's leap forward for a moment, just to look at another aspect of the sutra that continues from here. Just to summarize, he goes into, this is Lakshmanju, he talks about the 31 elements. That basically what we were saying earlier was these 31 elements can either be binding or liberating depending on how you're approaching them, right? And so he talks about those 31 elements also meaning tattvas, in detail specifically, and then about māyā and how it has illusion over them. So this is all, important information. But then he gets to this sort of this argument about it, which ties back into the work of the sutra. So I wanted to start from there. And I separated it into really small sections because they're very confusing sentences. Remember that this text is from a satsang with Lakshmanju about the Shiva Sutras. And so it's just an oral transmission. And I think it's good to remember that, because sometimes you can say things and there's a flow in the room, and on paper it's like, oh, and that's a little challenging. So I separate into small sections just so we can sometimes just sort of recalibrate the sentence to make it a little bit easier to understand. So just reading in the yellow. Anybody excited? Want to be a reader? All right. Go for it, Christy. I saw that hand fly up. That's great. So it's a yellow, yeah.
You want me to do yellow?
Yep.
Okay. When you know these elements as differentiated and not as undifferentiated, thinking they are different from your own nature and not one with it, then you have descended.
All right, so hang in there, Christy. So descended, we're referring to the tattvas. So remember, Shiva and Shakti are at the top, and then it descends in this sort of pyramid style where it goes into more and more differentiation as it goes down. So that's the descended we're talking about. So take a look at that sentence. How would you say that in your own words, Christy? And if you can't, it's fine. But just give it a shot.
Yeah, I think, well, it's a little redundant, but I actually think I get this one.
Great.
As you start to lose that undifferentiatedness, I actually like the double negative better, the not as undifferentiated. When you start to see things that way, then you've moved from those pure layers down into that differentiated space of I versus object, or knowledge and knower, I guess, are different.
So let's look at that through Christy's lens. Not undifferentiated. So you like that double negative, huh? That's cool. Everyone, Christy's a mathematician. Literally. She's a professional mathematician. So maybe mathematically, those are really helpful somehow. When you know these elements when you know the elements around you, the world around you, as differentiated, meaning this is a world full of all these different things, and it's different from me, I'm different from it, and not as undifferentiated, so not as unified. Thinking this stuff's different from my nature, it's different from me, and I'm not this stuff. That very line of thinking pulls us down. All right, cool. So just throwing the ball back and forth with Christy there. Thanks for hanging in there on me. Any questions before we move on? Because this keeps going like this.
Christy, just out of curiosity, can you share
Why?
what you like
Yeah.
about it? Because when you said that,
Yeah.
I got a spark of like
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I liked it, but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, I think so. I liked the bit after that says that you've descended. And so to me, when I heard that, I started at the egg at the top in the pure layer, and I could feel the descending into the differentiation. And so to me, it felt like you started out as enlightened in the pure part of that egg, and then you became differentiated. So I think
Yeah.
not as undifferentiated captured that moving down in the egg.
Yeah, like undifferentiated is the goal, and so the
Yeah.
not is the lacking. Like we are
Yeah.
lacking this awareness. So that's really helpful. I didn't really get it until you said you liked it, and I was like, yeah, that is useful.
You know, there's got to be a lot to it because he does it every time. Like, all the time. It's always the double negative. It's so many times. And then there's that Rudio that I think it was recently that I posted. I can't remember when. But he says, he was saying the same thing about not seeing... What was he saying? He was like, about not seeing difference and breaking down walls and... Well, anyway, my bad for bringing it up and not knowing it word for word. But it comes up a lot. Oh, go ahead.
There's also, is it Muktan on this book that nothing exists
That's
that
right.
is not Shiva?
You're right. Yeah. What is that? That is fascinating. I'm not going to act like I understand it.
It could just be like idiomatic, you know what I mean? It could just be a way that is common to speak, and that's how it's done. No?
Did you do that on purpose?
Do what?
He ended with the negative.
Oh. Idiomatic. Using, containing, or denoting expressions that are natural to a native speaker. Thank you. Okay. Everybody knew that but me.
No.
Well, why would you talk like that then? I think it's pretty fun. We've got to. Okay. Arya, that was supposed to be amongst yourselves. Just, I didn't know if you. Okay, cool. You're good. I just want to make sure I missed something.
Bob raised his hand.
Oh, Bob raised his hand. Thanks. My eyes.
Oh, I was just going to say there is an Indian form of contemplation called neti,
Right.
where not this, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and if I haven't worked with that much, but my understanding of it is you keep asking that to like strip away all the things until what is left but undifferentiation, right? Essentially. So cool. That might be it.
Yeah, because I feel like the mind is a tool, so it has to do something. And it can't perceive Shiva because it's limited in its capacity. So, but what it can do is surrender. It's like your mind can like let go of stuff. But it can't like form the whole picture, but it can, its part is letting go of like not this, swaha, not this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's the idea that we're talking about something that's inexpressible. And since it's inexpressible, you can only define it by what it is not.
Wow.
This has been like the best study buddy ever. Thanks, everyone. It's really fun.
Yes.
Who knew philosophy could be so fun? He knew. So because we just happened to have that beautiful Guru Gita verse from Gita pulled up on the screen,
Where is it?
it's
Oh, okay.
that. And most of us know the Guru Gita, so even though it's a lot of Sanskrit, you could probably chant it a little bit.
Yeah, so let's chant it 3 times. Gura vidya jaganmaya dehe chagyana sambhava udayo yat prakashena guru shabdena katyate. Gura vidya jaganmaya dehe chagyana sambhava udayo yat prakashena guru shabdena katyate. Gura vidya jaganmaya dehe chagyana sambhava adayo yat prakashena guru shabdena katyate. Alright, so after you establish that stillness in your seat, with the shoulders relaxed, draw the breath in slowly through the nose and feel that slight lift in the heart. As you exhale, try to keep your focus right there in the heart. And just for fun, just bring one fingertip to the center of the chest. Very light touch. Just keep trying to pull your focus here through the inhale and the exhale. The breath is a great example of this concept of knowledge that we're dealing with, because it's always moving, it's always changing. We have to do it. We have to work with it. Is the breath going to be overlooked? Is it going to be distracting? Or is it going to be the source of your connection? So the breath is filled with the light of consciousness, just like the knowledge that we're talking about in the sutra. But how do you connect with that aspect of it? One way might be to feel this point of awareness in the heart, the stillness of the body. While allowing the breath to move with minimal effort. You're welcome to lower the hand and retain that focus at that point. Your mantra is always there to support this same path. By repeating Om Namah Shivaya silently with each breath in, each breath out, you're connecting to the consciousness that's in the breath. And of course, essentially, We and our breath are not two different things, just like knowledge and the knower are not. So don't let yourself stop at feeling the breath as an external action of the body. But connect with the breath at the level of vitality and life force that it is, with the energetic aspects, the feeling. And as we learned, if you don't feel one with your breath, which is a very rare experience, so if you don't feel one, you let that go. You let that feeling go. You surrender that feeling of difference, of not oneness. And you just keep letting it go. You are one with the breath. It is not separate. That separateness, swaha, let it go. Use your breath, use your mantra. Feel connected attention sink. Let it sink in and down towards the heart. This is you. The thoughts. You just let them go. Can you feel a connection to something beyond the room and the body and the thoughts? Hold your focus on the breath. Repeat the mantra steadily. Let your attention sink towards the heart. Let these senses in the mind take you inside. You can finish with a slight smile practice. It's always just for you. I've always felt that the slight smile sort of tips its hat towards the knower amidst the differentiated world we might think we're surrounded by. It gives you that connection to your heart. And as you open your eyes, if you haven't already, you can just play with keeping that connection of the knower alive with that slight smile. Maybe it'll help you see less undifferentiated or something aspects of your being, but I'll stop there. Thank you all so much for your work tonight. It's really special.